asleep amidst the trees. Bats all are swaying in the breeze. But one so light, anxious, wide awake, fearing all manner of ghouls, hags and wraiths. For your dolly Polly sleep has flown. Don't dare let her tremble alone. For the witcher, heartless cold, paid in coin of gold. He comes, he'll go, leave naught behind but heartache and woe. Deep, deep woe. It's all silent for the night. Cows turn in as daylight dies. But when so light lunches wide awake, fearing all manner of ghouls, hags and wraiths, my dear darling.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Haunted Connections show. We're bringing this to you from the Haunted Antiques Paranormal Research Centre in Hinckley, Leicester, and we're sponsored by Sims Vintage Antiques in Wootton Warren near Stratford. So big welcome to everyone. Tonight we are discussing about how much we complicate the paranormal. So as usual, if you've got any comments, any suggestions, any thoughts, any experiences, anything that you'd like to share with us, put them all in the comments below. If you've got any questions, we'll do our best to answer them, and we will get things rolling, won't we, Neil?
We will. And of course, we are not actually at the centre tonight, are we? Still doing this from our homes, aren't we, Jane?
We are.
Although last night we were at the centre doing our podcast, which was fantastic.
We
Having you
were.
up there. So
Yeah,
very
it was
exciting last night. There's three of us around one microphone, so that was good fun.
Yeah, it was great to be back.
Yeah. So I chose this topic because something you said to Penny Griffiths Morgan the other day. She said what we're tending to do as paranormal investigators, overcomplicating things.
Yeah.
So let's have you starting then, Jane. What did you mean by that?
I think sometimes people just really overcomplicate the paranormal. It doesn't have to be complicated. People want to sort of put things with labels and in boxes and define things, and you've got to have all this sort of this communication with spirit. There's got to be, people seem to think that you've got to have lots of definitions, lots of reasons and all things like that for all the stuff going on, and I think sometimes people just overthink it far too much.
Yeah, I agree. There's lots of people saying hello. I'm not going to read them out like most other places shows do because I'll be here all night. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for all your comments. As we said at the start, if you got any thoughts on this subject or any subject, because we always deviate, don't we?
We do.
Just pop it in the comments, and any questions we'll answer that. I personally do think we, as investigators, do overcomplicate things, like you said, Jane. And there's no need, is there? It's I see life as a simple thing.
Yeah.
And I'll try and do the simple thing as simply as we can.
Yeah. And sometimes you see people just trying to sort of analyze things and justify things and everything in such a much more complicated way, and in that in that sense, they tend to sort of get lost and well, they tend to lose me, if you like. And it's very difficult to try and to sort of balance what people are saying sometimes. And some of the stuff that people come out with on some of the live feeds is quite entertaining, really.
Do you think they do that on purpose, or do you think they actually believe in what they're doing?
No, I think a lot of it is a lack of understanding, and a lack of understanding with the spirit world. And in my experience, it's very, very simple. We have a soul, a human consciousness, a soul, whatever you want to call it. And when we die, that consciousness, that soul leaves our bodies. And what we're trying to do is just communicate with these souls that have sort of departed. And my belief is that they are all around us. They're all around us in this field. You know, in all these empty spaces around us, there's a field of consciousness. And sometimes all we need to do is just link in with one of them to communicate. And that's all it is. And you do see a lot of people going, sort of talking about old school. And that seems to be, you know, quite popular at the minute. People are going back to just the basics, pens and papers and just torches and just sit and listen. Everybody's so impatient, you know, when they're investigating. You see people on these investigations and they're asking a question. And because there's no answer in the immediate 2 seconds after, they're asking again and they're asking again. And working with spirit does take a lot of time and patience.
Yeah. We've got Gail and Anne watching from Pendle Hill tonight, Jane.
Oh, lovely.
Nice.
Hello, ladies.
Thanks for tuning in from Pendle Hill. I hope you've come across lots of witches besides yourself. Okay, let's put Lee's comment. Lee says, I prefer to keep it simple. Camera and digital recorder. If capture anything, it's unexplained. Yeah. Okay. Steve says, I think we'll lose us here. Steve says, the level of complication totally depends on your beliefs. If you can justify paranormal activity as spirit communication, then that's perfect because you have your answer. But if you're someone who doesn't believe that, then the right thing to do is search for more answers. So you can't avoid complicating things. Okay. I think it's wrong to give everything. I think it's wrong personally to give everything a label, because that, to me, that complicates things.
Yeah, I think sometimes people just try to fit everything into a little box, and everything's got to just sort of be just so. And I found that it just doesn't always work that way, because in my experience, we're talking about beliefs and experiences. In my experience, you know, we've got this paranormal. I'll call it a field, if you like, because this is where I believe all the paranormal stuff is. So we've got the human souls, we've got, you know, alien consciousness, we've got all the creatures that we've come across in the centre. You know, we've got things like the fairies and much bigger creatures. You've got, I suppose, the creatures that probably people would class as demons. You know, you've got all these different things.
Yeah.
And they're just in that one field.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the paranormal field, isn't it? So lots of people are saying hello still. Any comments? So what do you think? Someone mentioned, I think it was Lee, said about back to basics. What's your opinion on going back to basics, Jane?
Well, I'm sort of that member of the team, aren't I? I mean, I love it when we do use tech. You know, I like it when we use the REM pod. I like it when we use things that aren't really easily influenced by people.
Yeah.
And the reason why I like some of the tech and other stuff like that is so that we can get the spirit that I'm communicating with, we can get that spirit to communicate with everybody else that's there. So it's a way of getting that spirit to sort of just communicate with everybody else there, not just me. And that's one of the reasons why I like it. And things like the REM pod and that, you know, when we sit in the seance room and we've got the REM pod at the top of the stairs and we know that we're not, that there's nobody else around there and it's going off, you know, it's things like that. It's the audible sort of equipment as well that you can hear, that you just don't have to necessarily sit and watch.
Yeah.
And sitting,
go on.
I was just going to say, sitting and watching and listening and just being quiet is probably one of the best things you can do when you're trying to, you know, get spirit to come forward.
Yeah, yeah. I like it how we work, and obviously we've been working together many, many years. That spirit, some, not all of them, but a lot of spirits will tell you to use a particular piece of equipment, don't they?
Yeah.
For example, the flare. You know, the picture we caught at the old house in Colville.
Yeah.
No one's explained that to us yet. It's just, it's such an obvious face, but we weren't using the flare until you said, "Spirit, the guys told you to get the flare camera."
Yeah.
And like when we were at the suicide cemetery, you said, use your dowsing rods. She can communicate with the dowsing rods.
Yeah. And I do, you know, that's one of the things that we do try and do, isn't it? To try and find the best way that they can communicate with us, so that we can get the best sort of communication. And when we were in the house, the old farm museum in Skegness, and she said that one of the girls, we put the REM pod down on the floor, and once we showed her what to do, that communication was really good as well. And she just kept, you know, when it's happening on cue as such, when you're asking questions, then you know that's more than just coincidence.
Yeah, let's put Rick's question up. Rick says, "Hello both. Can I start by saying that's a nice T-shirt you're wearing, Neil? Where can I get one? Where can I get one?" I do actually think you've got one, Rick. I do believe people do complicate things with asking the same question over and over. But people have to realize that most of these entities did walk the earth at some point. So would you like it if someone stood in front of you and kept asking the same question over and over again? Okay. Yeah. I actually work with Rick in the daytime. So I'm creeping down with this T-shirt. So yeah, I must admit that is one of my bugbears. When people are doing investigations, and we've all done it, and you say, "Can you tap on the table?" And there's a tap on the table, and you say something like, "That's great. Can you do it again?" To me, if I was that spirit, I'd say, "Sod off. I've done it now for you. If you don't believe it's me, why should I do it again? You don't believe me anyway." So what's your take on that?
Yeah, I do like to try and talk to them as if you're just in a conversation, and sitting and waiting and listening for their response, even if it takes 5 minutes. It doesn't, you know, just sitting and being patient and waiting. That's when we tend to get the best results, and it's just something you just can't run.
Yeah, but it does sometimes annoy me when they say, I know it annoys Amy, these words, "Spirit, can you do this? Spirit, can you do that?" And Amy, that drives Amy up the wall, doesn't it?
I think it does. Yeah.
What I like to do, I know a lot of teams don't like to do, I like to know the names of some spirits that we're trying to contact. Because if you're going in someone's house and you're asking for, "Are you here, spirit?" It's not as nice as if you're saying, "Are you here, George?" So
Yeah, but
I like to know the names.
Yeah, I do tend to use spirit a bit, because I feel it is a form of respect if you don't know the names. It's like saying "hello, sir" as such, rather than "oi." It's like it is a respectful term, and it's better than if you don't know the names. I mean, once you know the names, that's great. But if you don't, then it is just a form of respect. But there's a fly that's buzzing around me and he's being annoying.
Wants to feed on you.
Bugger off.
Okay, I'll put Gail's comment up. Gail says, I'd love to go on an investigation here, which we did say once we end this crap, will this still happen? Hopefully. We've got to get out all this rubbish at the minute, haven't we? Which is still going on. Lee says, what's the best evidence you guys have caught and which device did you use? That's an interesting one. I
think it's still got to be Blueface, isn't it?
Yeah.
The one that we call Blueface. And it's still nobody's still not been able to explain it. And it was caught on the FLIR camera, the thermal camera, and there's a clear face. He's actually in the camera, and even though we're panning round, his face is still in the camera.
Yeah.
And his face is blue and dark blue, and if he was alive, it would be red. You know, he'd be warm. But it's the other thing as well is that the background is really quite red and warm, and this was taken about 11, 12 o'clock at night, and the room was absolutely freezing. It was taken in February. There was no central heating. So the room itself was freezing cold, but that was showing sort of warm against this man's face, which was like a dark blue. It was so cold, it was unbelievable. Yeah. But, we have got that footage if anybody wants to have a look at it. And that's probably one of the best bits that we've caught.
Yeah, we can share that. I know it wasn't captured at the centre, but we can share. You've got it somewhere, haven't you, Jane?
Yeah, yeah.
So we can find it out and share it. So what do you think is the best piece of evidence from the centre?
Oh, I think things like the smash mirror when you caught that on camera when it actually lifted up and smashed, because you just can't. There's just no way you can argue that. And if you know the mirror, the mirror was something like 4.5 foot by 5.5 foot or something. It took 2 people to lift it.
Yeah.
And it was in the chamber of fear all on its own. You've got the camera footage just filming everything, and the mirror actually comes up against gravity, lifts up and smashes on the chair, and that's probably one of the best pieces that you've caught. But there's been so much footage that you've caught at the centre.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with both of them, and we spent quite a few hours trying to recreate it, didn't we?
Yeah.
During the week before, and we just couldn't without. If someone had leant in and moved the mirror, which is physically impossible anyway, but if they could, we'd have seen you in the other mirrors, and we just couldn't disprove it, could we?
No.
Which is
good.
We
couldn't do it.
Okay, Rick says, I would like to see that, please. I think he's on about the blue face.
Yeah,
and
we
also
could.
Lee, he says, love to see that. Yeah, Jane will sort that out. And Rick says the table tipping is awesome at the centre at the minute, because Rick was, like I say, I'm working with Rick at the minute. So Rick and my fellow workers were the first people to go to investigate the centre after the second lockdown. So, and like I told you, it's actually our Ouija table that we're using, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
Well, there's a group in there on Friday, and I should be up there as well. So I want to try and get to the bottom of that, see who's doing that. So I'm quite looking forward to that. I'm quite excited to get that table tipping going.
I know we think who's doing it, but we might be mistaken. So Jane might say, "Oh, it's not Robert, it's such and such." But we'll see. We'll see Friday, and I will film that, because Sunday night he says they only like doing it in the dark. So we're going to try it in the dark on Friday, and we're going to try it with the lights on, see if there is a difference.
Yeah.
As well. And Gail says, always have had good table tipping in there. Yeah, we did table tipping before, but that was on a little table, I think. But
we used to do it on the little round square wooden one, didn't we?
Yeah. But this is the the round one that we've had for years. No, we had that. We were using that in 2 haunted days. But any more comments, let us know. Otherwise, we're just going to ramble on. Of course, until we get some more comments, if you've read my post earlier today when I was a little bit bored at work, we are moving away from Facebook a bit over the coming months because it's doing my head in, as you're probably all aware, because people don't see the post. Even Jane don't get any notifications. So if I didn't message her, she wouldn't know we're live tonight.
Yeah, I'd have been sitting there, feet up, watching the telly.
So we do have our own app that Luke and I have developed. It is live on iOS and Google Play. As you can see behind us, it's saying download our app.
Yeah.
It is really good. It's $3.99. I do think it's really worth the money because you're gonna have special treats on there as well, and you'll have offers, and the members will get more offers than we've been doing. So if you want to keep up to date with what we're doing, please download the app.
Yeah, and there's so much more coming up. We've got such a lot of good ideas that are all going to be starting to flourish very soon, and the only way you're going to see them is via the app.
Well, I don't know about you. You might have the hat, but I'm having the app. No, you're from Inkley. You don't use H's.
Yeah, I must have slipped that one in there.
Okay, John says we are coming on Saturday night, so I'm sure we would love to have a try with that table. Of course, you can. Yeah, it's always in the doll's room. There is a video of it that Tina and her team videoed on the evidence page and that it was in the war room with that table. So I've always been a little bit dubious about table tipping. What do you reckon, Jane?
Yeah, well, we have. I mean, I've seen some pretty amazing table tipping because I don't things like the Ouija board and the table tipping. I like to not be on them because it takes, you sort of focusing on what's happening. So I'm not really talking with spirit. I like to just stand back a bit and try and communicate with the spirit and see who's actually doing it. So, but I have watched a lot of really good table tipping. I mean, there was really good stuff at Wigston House that time, weren't they? Because the table went over and took a couple of people with it. There was no mercy that night. So
that was fun.
So we have seen some really good table tipping.
Yeah, and also we had a good table tipping at the Ancient Ram Inn. I don't know if you were there that night, though.
No, I didn't go. No.
No, you've never been to the Ancient Ram Inn, have you?
No.
Maybe one day.
Yes.
So yeah, and that is actually the same table that we took the Ancient Ram in. It might have been the same table we had at Wigston House, It's definitely
that was one of the foldable ones, wasn't it?
Was it?
I'm sure it was because we had two of them, and there was 2 tables going at the same time.
Yeah. So Jane on Friday is going to have a look into this table tipping because I don't understand why it's all of a sudden it's going crazy, and it's not as if you got your fingers on there a couple of minutes. As soon as you put your fingers on it and you settle down, it starts going. I don't understand why it's suddenly done that. You got any theories to that one, Jane?
I've got a couple of thoughts, but I'm gonna wait till I actually wait till I get up there. I can actually work with it properly.
Oh, okay. Hush, hush. So, any more comments, anybody? What should we talk about now then, Jane?
Well, we've been talking about, do we overcomplicate the paranormal, don't we?
Yeah,
I mean, we've been on a couple of investigations, haven't we, with other people, and so the differences in the way people investigate is, well, there's just so many different styles out there. But the people who tend to be a little bit more laid back and not worry about the equipment and stuff like that, you know, you tend to get a lot more sort of activity than sometimes people that want to spend all night putting all the equipment up, trying to catch everything on the equipment, trying to catch photos, trying to catch it all on the voice recorders and stuff like that. And now I've seen a couple of people get a bit stressed because they're just trying, you know, when the equipment fails or the batteries die and stuff like that, some people get quite frustrated, and I think sometimes that is a bit of a detriment, because they, you know, if they're going into a negative mood as such, then the spirit's going to run a mile anyway.
Yeah, because many years ago we were always told to be serious on investigation, weren't we?
Yeah.
The team we used to be part of, the person who ran the team said, take it serious, you got to be serious, it's not a laughing matter, and all this. And to be honest, it's totally opposite now, the way we do it. And I'm finding that with teams come up, if you come in a good mood, you're laughing and joking and you're messing about, obviously in the tea room, but you're joking, you get a far better response than if you come in and you're deadly serious.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to your thoughts. You know, your thoughts go out into the universe. Your thoughts are a little pulse of light that's, you know, and once they go and they're out in the universe, that makes a difference, because the consciousnesses out there can pick that up. And if you're thinking positive thoughts and you're looking for a good night and you're with your mates and you're all excited to be there, and you know you've got you've got that team spirit going, then that is going to send out real good vibrations, and that's why I think the teams tend to get a lot of good activity. People who come in and they're sort of closed down, they're negative, they're not really bothered, they're not really participating and trying to engage with it. They've already sent out the thoughts that, oh, it's going to be crap, I'm not going to enjoy this, blah blah blah, and that's the response that they get.
Yeah. Okay. Lee says, how simple should an investigation be? Over to you, June.
It can be as simple as you want. I recently went. I won't sort of say where it is at the minute, because I've just wrote an article about it. But I recently went to a place, and as soon as I walked in the house, I could feel the energy of the person that was there. And I had to walk around the house, and I came back down, and I sat in the window, and I could see the person there, and I just started talking to them. I've got no torch, no paper, no nothing, and I could see the lady there, and I just talked to her, and I just engaged with a conversation for a little while, and then I left the house, and that absolutely blew me away. And there was nothing to it. It was just a case of having that communication with spirit and having a conversation. And it could be that simple, where you don't use anything. All you do is just listen, talk, communicate, and not overstay your welcome, but be grateful, be respectful, and it absolutely blew me away. And it'll be something that I remember. It was that profound. It'll be something I remember for the rest of my life. And it can be that simple, and it can only take minutes.
So obviously that's so simple for you as medium. Can it be simple for someone who's not a medium as well?
I think so, but I think you've just got to be quiet, and I think you've just got to be open-minded enough to just sit quiet, no paper, no nothing, just close your eyes and just have the thoughts there that you want to communicate with somebody, and just see what comes through. And it could be bangs, taps, just simple stuff like that. And you could quite easily communicate, as we've done, sitting in a room with absolutely nothing, and you can communicate with taps and knocks and things like that.
I actually think perhaps teams overcomplicate things with all the DVR cameras, all the handheld cameras, and they're so hell-bent on getting evidence to show other people that they perhaps forget that it's their journey.
Yeah.
So,
I think sometimes they just forget that they're talking to a human spirit.
no, we've experienced so much, not just on the stuff that we have shown people, but that we didn't use that get on camera. But
Yeah.
then that doesn't really bother us because that's our journey. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm not trying to prove there is life after death. I'm not going to try to prove to people, yeah, we have got the best evidence, because the centre is our journey. And if we experience things up there, that's fantastic to me.
Yeah. I mean, next time you go, I mean, sometimes it's a bit difficult because when you go into a venue and you sort of with a group or whatever, and you say got an hour in a room, and then you stop and you move around and you've got a tea break and stuff like that. It's not always easy to take as long as you want for the good communication to sort of build and build and build. Some of the best stuff that we've had, we've just been sitting in the room at the centre, and it does take time. You know, it's not necessarily something that happens in 5 minutes. To get the best communication, it's a case of just being patient and just waiting for that, because the spirit world does work quite slowly sometimes.
Okay, let's put John's comment. John says, I'm thinking someone has found a new game with the table and found out how to move it. Quite possibly, John. Abby says, laughing helps. I certainly think laughing does help. And I can't say for the location because we only investigate the centre now, don't we?
Yeah.
Perhaps next year we will be able to go out to other locations. But for the last 3 years, we have only been up to the centre, possibly. But if you're sitting around upstairs, talking to us between ourselves and laughing, something will probably happen, because they to me they might be thinking, you come to talk to me tonight, why aren't you talking to me? Do you think that happens?
I think when we're in there and we're talking and we're chatting away, and the vibration is so good in there that it does draw them in. It draws them in, and I think it just makes it so much easier for them to communicate. But I do feel that they know us as well, and they recognise our energies, and we are respectful. We're not a threat. We're not there to with ego to try and get whatever we can out of them and then publicise it and everything else like that. A lot of the stuff we do keep private. We don't really want to share everything out, because then that spoils it for teams and that coming in. We don't want to tell them exactly what's there, because obviously they want to come in and find out for themselves, and we can confirm stuff. But it is quite a fluid sort of environment. There could be spirits there one day, and there could be totally different things there the next day. And even in the same day, you can go in the seance room in the morning and it feels great. You can go in there at lunchtime and it feels bloody awful. And then you can go back in there at tea time and it's like being in your grandma's front room.
Yeah, definitely. So there's no more comments yet. So yeah, going back on the topic, I do think some teams, not all teams, some teams do overcomplicate things. It's like the TV shows, isn't it? I think they overcomplicate things because they have to get something on camera.
Yeah.
I think they probably experience more things without worrying about getting the right camera angle, getting it just right, and perhaps taking it too seriously.
Yeah, I think some people just try too hard sometimes to try and capture stuff, and it's probably going on right under your nose, and you're probably missing it because you're so busy checking your equipment and just constantly asking out stuff, and the little old spirit could be there tapping and banging away, and you're just missing it because you're too busy fiddling with your camera, or trying to sort your tech out.
Yeah. So stop fiddling with your cameras and stop fiddling with the knobs. Yeah, but obviously everyone has a different sort of agenda, don't they? Now, our agenda, my agenda is, to me, I'm not out to prove life after death. I'm just trying to experience things for myself, and that's why we don't put a lot of video evidence up, do we?
No.
I can't remember last time we did it, to be honest. You know, and we like to do the live. We'd like to do our investigations. If we show people as live, I think I prefer doing things live. I know some people don't like live investigations, but I do. I know Jane does. But that's basically just the demon files that we do.
Yeah. See, demon files is a good one, isn't it? Because to me, it's finding out the truth for ourselves. You know, the demon files isn't about trying to ridicule anybody's religion or to, you know, or to show that we're sort of demon hunters or Satanists, or, you know, we're not drinking the blood of our enemies and all that stuff. It's just a place to see what's there, and if the accounts and documents and everything, the writings about all these things are actually true.
Yeah.
So far, we've found that things are completely different.
Completely different. Let's put Lee's comment. Lee says, we felt quite relaxed there, to be honest. We use main camera to film, lock off so we can prove where we are in the room if something moves, and face cams to prove it's not us if we capture the voice. Yeah, that's I'm not trying to tell people how to do their investigations, because that works for you. That's great, Lee. Unfortunately, it's releasing stuff and not being shot down in flames, because there's a lot of keyboard warriors who, as soon as you put a video on, they want to disprove it, don't they? And that annoys me. Now, when you feel that you have to prove it's not you doing it, then that's not right. If you say you're not doing it, that's fine for you. Don't know if you agree, Jane.
Yeah, I think most investigators, when they're filming, are honest, and they'll film whatever's there. And if there's nothing there, then there's nothing there. But there is a minority, isn't there, that will try and fake things and try and make their lives better than what they actually are. Yeah. And I suppose it's those sort of groups that you've got to be wary of.
Yeah. You know, I know Abby's watching. I know you do filming, Abby, and I know if you say this happens, I trust that. Same as you, Lee. I've seen you up the centre not long ago. If you say that's happened, that's good enough for me. To me, you don't have to prove it, but to be honest, unfortunately, there are a few people who are just out to shoot everyone else down in flames.
Yeah, and honesty and trust is a big thing, because not only is it important between your teammates and you sort of reflecting that to your audience, but also the spirit world are actually watching you as well. They know when you're faking. They know when you're trying to pull the wool over people's eyes, and when you're being deceitful, and when you're lying, and when you're not doing things as you should do. They know that. So they're not really going to interact with people who are going to be lying and be deceitful and trying to fake things. Yeah. So, you know, it's a vicious circle. You're not going to get the spirit activity because you're faking stuff, but you've got to fake stuff because you can't get the spirit activity, but you want to get your viewers up and you want to try and deceive people that, you know, this is actually what's happening, and it really isn't.
Okay. Lee says, the face cams mainly help me in edit. I could hear something and not be sure if it's one of us clearing our throat. Yeah, that's a good idea then. Yeah, that's a good idea. We just do live feeds. I know Jane and I are going to start a project when everything opens up. I don't know when that's going to be now, but we have had this project on hold for a couple of years now, at least, haven't we?
Yeah, yeah. But as we always say, it will happen precisely when the time is right.
So, and of course, when we do that, they will be recorded. Perhaps we'll see. But I do like doing live feeds. To me, you click record, go live, do what you're doing, click stop, and that's it. Finish with. Because going through all the footage on different cameras, it used to do my head in. Because anybody knows me, I am quite lazy. So I just like an easy life. However, with StreamYard, we can have Ben in the studio to change the camera angles anyway. So we have the best of both worlds, I think. So, any more comments? Lee says, by the way, I didn't bend down enough and hit my head on the shelter's roof. It's very sturdy. I'm surprised I didn't hear you shout there, because it's painful, that shelter, if you hit your head on it.
Oh yeah, you've done it a couple of times, haven't you?
Yeah, I see it every week.
I don't have that problem because I'm only short.
No, you bounce through it, don't you, Jane? But Lee mentioned the shelter. The shelter is special, isn't it?
It is.
It makes such a difference.
That room is it's a whole new ball game now. You've got the shelter in there. The amount of people that the amount of spirits that we have coming through that room now is it's amazing. We
were all there Sunday night. I think there's me and Ant and 3 ladies. So Jackie, Pam, and Hazel. And it was just like there was like a buzz queue. They were just queuing up to come and talk to us on the we were using a Ouija board. And one said a few words, then the energy changed, and somebody else wanted to talk, and then somebody else wanted to talk. It was just phenomenal. Yeah, and it's been that way for the last few times you've been doing the Ouija board up there, haven't you? Hasn't it? When you've been doing the lives with the Ouija board up there. Yeah, it's the activity is off the scale now. Lee says, I'm extremely short hair, so no warning. Perhaps you need a warning sign on it. So, any more comments, anybody? Okay, put this comment on. Makes me smile when they say, I saw it with my own eyes. Whose eyes they're going to see it with? Something that does annoy me also is when teams say it's pitch black and all they've got is night vision camera, and then they say they see a shadow. If it's pitch black, how do they see the shadow? Well, there'd still be a difference, wouldn't there, in the light? Because in the night vision cameras, it sort of comes up green, doesn't it? Yeah, but not. They don't see it in the viewfinder. They see it in the room that the camera's not pointing at. Oh, strange one. Perhaps you can. I don't know. I don't tend to do things in pitch black because I don't like it. You were scared. I don't. I'm a bit of a weird character. I don't like the dark. I definitely don't like being on my own in the dark. Caroline says, I have been here, but comments don't work. Well, this one has, Caroline. If you've got something to say now, because your comment, I can see your comments now. I don't know why they weren't working. So, anything else to say on this subject, Jane? I think people will just go down their own route anyway, and sometimes people will do what they've been taught to do. You know, when they first started
doing ghost hunting or investigating or whatever, and they go with a team. I think however the team sort of train them or whatever their first experiences are very much influence how they work later on. And I would just say to people, don't just stick to one method. Have a go at everything. Bring in everything. And, try sometimes doing it with no equipment. Try doing it with equipment and just in different places and that. And just see what results you get. And, it's down to your own preference, really. Because some people want the kit, don't they? Some people want the tech and everything else. And we've seen some really good stuff caught by the tech. And yet, other people do want to take it a bit slower and just sit there and just sort of try and listen out for the bangs and taps and things. I think it's down to your own preference, really.
Yeah, my opinion would be, okay, watch and listen to what everyone does, but then make your own mind up how you want to investigate. Just because somebody doesn't investigate like you do doesn't mean to say they're right and you're wrong, or the other way around.
Yeah.
Just do what feels best for you. Doesn't matter what other people think. We do things our way because that's how we want to do it. But
yeah.
If someone says to me, use this app, I would possibly try it. If I like it, I'll use it. If I don't tend to use apps, I must admit. But if it works, but there's nothing wrong with it, is it? If it works for you, that's fine.
Yeah.
Don't worry
you'll
about.
find your feet, won't they? They'll find their feet in whatever they like best, because if you sort of have a bond with your kit and you fill it with your energy, you're going to get so much more results back than if you find your kit and equipment bloody awkward, or it's pain in the arse, or it's forever doing this, it's forever doing that. Once you've got a good relationship with your kit and your equipment, you'll find that the activity is so much better.
Yeah. I personally like the dowser rods. A lot of people say they're rubbish, but I know 100% when I'm using my dowser rods, I'm not affecting them. I'm not doing it. So, to be honest, I'm not bothered if people say I'm cheating. I know I'm not. And same as the rest of the team at Haunted Antiques, I know full well none of us will fake anything. None of us will cheat, because what's the point? I'm not out to prove things anyway.
No. And a lot of time, once you start doing stuff like that, you're only cheating yourself. You're only lying to yourself. So what's the point?
Well, we'd soon get shot down in flames, wouldn't we, if we fake things? John says, I agree, bring in everything, but not at the same time. Tech is useful to show something to a group, but all you need for yourselves are your senses and feelings. That is very true. And it all depends. Also, having guests makes a difference, doesn't it? The guests are watching TV shows, so the guests are expecting ghost adventurers with a kit, or most haunted with whatever they bring. I don't watch it now. So the guests, investigations with the guests are different to team investigations. So if you got guests, it is sort of entertainment value as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And of course, everybody in the team is going to be completely different. Not everybody is going to feel what you feel, is going to experience what you experience, and everybody's going to be at different levels of sensitivity. And just look at our aims. She just prefers the tech, doesn't she? She doesn't pick up on any spirit. She doesn't sense anything or feel anything, and she just likes a tech. But saying that, how she works is a real important part of our team, because everybody does things differently, and everybody has something different to contribute to the team.
Yeah. And that's why we work so well. So any final comments, anybody, before we should be our 10 minutes left before we ramble on. If you do, I'll say it again, if you do want to follow us, please download the app. It's only $3.99. Okay, Rick says, patience, I think he means patience, is the key to investigations. Take your time and do your investigation how you want to do it. I have had first-hand experience at HAPRC that good things come to those who wait. Yes, definitely. He means patience, not patience. I shall remember about that tomorrow. Yeah,
But
definitely. Just go on, Jane.
that is one good thing we've found about the centre, isn't it? If you go there respectful and willing to have a good night and be open-minded and everything else, they will reward you. They will reward you with good stuff.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And they remember.
Yeah.
They do remember. They're not a thick bunch at the centre, you know. Rick says, "Damn autocorrect." Blame the autocorrect. So yeah. Basically, just do things how things suit you. It all depends what you want to get out of it. I can only voice what we want to get out of it. The centre is our journey. We're just fortunate that there's lots of people want to come and experience the centre for themselves, which is fantastic. Obviously, without all these teams coming, the centre wouldn't be open, would it?
Yeah, and I think as well, if people sort of understood what they're sort of looking for, what they're going to be communicating with, and I don't just mean, you know, sort of the spirit that somebody said told you, say like 30 East Drive, you know, don't just go there and just think, oh, I'm just going to go and see the Black Monk, and don't believe everything that everybody tells you. You know, do a little bit of research yourself, and all the stuff that you find out, write it down, and then see if you can find out stuff about it to back it up. Because once you find them little sort of nuggets of information that actually corroborate what you've experienced, then that's an amazing feeling. And you know, because you know genuinely in your heart, you've not faked it, you've got that information and everything else. And once you can back it up with true information and you can marry it up and you know that it's genuine stuff, that will blow you away.
Okay, this is an interesting question from John. John says, do you think with dowsing rods and pendulums are down to being moved by spirit or the user acting as a physical medium? What do you reckon to that, Jane?
I do think it's spirit. I know when we've done it, like when you've got your dowsing rods, you know, because I can sort of sense the spirit there. You know, like when we're in the churchyard, and that spirit clearly said, "Get your dowsing rods." So I do think it's spirit, but that's not saying that that's the same for everybody's experience. So I can only personally say from stuff that we've done. And I do feel that when we're getting communication as good as what we get, that it is spirit.
Okay, good. So can you actually see them then?
Yes, if I connect with them, and that's how I work. I will send my energy out, which connects with their energy, you know, and then once I connect it with their energy, I can then see them.
Yeah, cool. So any final comments? So you're up here, you're up the centre on Friday night, aren't you, with your gang? Your gang. Have you got anything special planned for them? Obviously, you're not going to tell me anyway.
No, I haven't got anything special planned for them. I think you know they've all been before. Well, I think most of them have been before. I think there might be a couple of newbies, but the others will, you know, they'll lead with what they want to do anyway. And I think they're quite keen to do some table tipping, some Ouija work, some sit-in seance. I think I might have to just shut some of them in for lone vigils, shut some of them in places in the
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, we do like a good lone vigil.
Oh yeah, especially if it's Rosie.
Yeah, I quite like to see Ellis with her box in the in
Oh,
the room, chamber of fear, but I don't think she will.
that would be a good one.
I hope
Lee
she's not
says,
watching.
enjoyed the stream again. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Lee. Like I say, we only say our opinion. We don't class ourselves as anywhere near experts because we're not. However, we're getting another new item tomorrow.
Wee-hee.
A lady rang me quite distressed actually today, and she bought this item, and it's been in the house perhaps a month, perhaps less than a month. And people have been seeing, since it's been in the house, people have been saying to her that they've seen a faceless figure looking out the bedroom window.
Wow. Well, that'll be interesting then.
So she's bringing it to the house tomorrow. So I will tell Julie to leave it in the carport just in case.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I know what the item is, but we're going to leave that for a bit. So you can work with that Friday night, Jane.
Yeah, I'll have a go.
And John says, new item. She did sound quite upset, actually. So she did sound upset and concerned.
You see, sometimes because we work with it all the time, we're sort of pretty hardened to it, really, aren't we? But if you're not used to this sort of any paranormal activity, and you just quite happily want to just live in your own home, do your thing, and then something comes into your house and upsets everything, and you're not quite sure, and you don't really believe in this stuff because you've not really encountered or experienced any of it, and then things start kicking off in your house. It is quite traumatic. We've been to enough people's houses to sort out paranormal activity in people's houses, and some people are really quite distressed by it because it's just something so unfamiliar to them, whereas because it's so familiar to us, we tend to, we're a bit hardened to it, really, aren't we?
Yeah. So Caroline says, oh, wow. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it because her husband's been poorly for a few years, she says, and she's concerned about her husband's safety because she must know something about the paranormal, because she says, if it's a negative energy, will it attack her husband because he's vulnerable?
Right.
And says, they do sometimes pick on the weakest, so quite possibly. So I just says, yeah, we'll have it off her and we'll see what Jane picks up on it. And I'll let her keep her informed.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
It's cool.
So we're about done for tonight. We just want to say thanks for everyone for watching. All the comments have been great as always. And that's it for tonight. So, one more comment. Yeah. John says, I must admit, what happens in the centre stays in the centre. I wouldn't want to take it home.
No. And we have said quite a few times that we will frisk your handbags on the way out. You can't take them home with you.
Yeah, so what's in your handbag next time, John? John's actually up on Saturday night, so I'm looking forward to seeing you all Saturday. I'm not seeing you for such a long time. I know it's going to be a laugh.
Yeah, it'll be good.
So it's going to be great seeing you all again. So that's it for tonight. He's just put sussed. Yeah, we're checking Anne's handbag as well.
And I will see if I can attach the footage of Blueface to this live feed, so anybody that is interested in seeing it can see it.
Good idea, because I forgot about that.
Yeah.
This is why Jane gets paid the mega bucks. She
I wish.
She remembers things, and she does all the research and all the writing.
Yeah, especially when people volunteer me to write things.
Well, I volunteered you to do it because you are on a 18-month holiday. Plenty of time. Plenty of time on your hand.
Yeah, that last one was a bit of a surprise though, because they said, like, you know, when's my article ready? And I said, what article? And Neil said, oh, I volunteered you to write an article. He didn't tell me.
I forgot.
Yeah,
You found
it's all
out.
good fun.
It's done. You're
But
getting
it's
to
done.
know. You must be getting to know me by now. All right, so we're going to go. So thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks, Jane, for coming on as always. And we will see you very,
We will
very
see you
soon.
soon. But take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Download the app.
Was asleep in